Hi everybody, we're going to further our maths learning today and we're going to look at multiplying two digits by two digits. But first we're going to start off with a flashback 4. What I want you to do, work through these as quickly as you can. When you're ready, unpause the video and we'll go through the answers. So 253 times 3, 759. Well done if you got that. Area of the rectangle, we're doing 4 times 5, which is of course 20. 10 squared is of course 10 times 10, which is 100. 100 more than 9,308 is 9,408. Okay, so we are going to continue on with our maths, and what I want you to do is just pause the video, work these out, and we'll see if we can see any patterns. So 3 times 4 is of course 24. Now let's have a look over here. We've got 30 times 8. 3 times 8, 30 times 8. We can make our answer 10 times larger because the 3 10 times larger is 30. Is of course 240. I don't know if you spotted that pattern. 6 times 7, use your times tables. 6 times 6 is 36. Add on 6 is 42. Now let's have a look. That's going to be 42. Let's have a look over here. 6 times something is 42. Remember, this is 10 times larger. So it's 10 times larger, so we make it 10 times smaller. We're going to make this one 10 times larger. It's 70. Well, I don't know if you spotted that. So let's have a look here. We've got a 22 times 13 in our area model down here. We can split that into 20 and 2 and 10 and 3. And then we can start to multiply it. So we can do our 10 times our 20 is 200. 10 times 2 is 20. 3 times 20 is of course 60. And 3 times 2 is of course 6. And then we just add them up. Well done. Now let's look at the relationship between this question and this question. We know it's one more lot. There's 13 lots of 22, 14 lots of 22. So we can add another lot of 22. We're going to add on 22 is of course 308. We can add on our 2 here. Add on 2 here. We get our 8. Then add on 20. We get our 308. Well done if you got that. So there's a nice little bit of recap there. Now let's get on to today's learning. So we've got a number like this. Let's put it into our area model. So we've got our 20 and our 3 and our 30 and our 1. We should be pretty confident at that now. So we can start to do our multiplication. We can do our 30 times 20. Remember that's 3 times 2 and then make it 10 times bigger and then 10 times bigger. 30 times 3 is of course 90. 1 times 20 is of course 20. And 1 times 3 is 3. Now, we've worked that out. What we need to do, add them all together and we will get our answer. So, how is that going to help us? Now, in our arithmetic papers, right at the end of our arithmetic papers in maths, we get our 2-mark questions. And that's where if you're really going for the top marks, we're really going to be hoping to get to the end of that. And we're going to be answering these questions as much as possible. Because generally speaking, when we're multiplying by 2 digits, we are getting 2 marks for these questions. So let's have a look. We're going to start off by doing our 1 times 3. And if we can see, we get our 1 times by 3. And that should be 3. Well done. You got that? So our 3 goes in. Next, we're going to do 1 times this number. And this is not 1 times 2. This is the 1 times 20. So we go to our 1 times by our 20 is, of course, 20. Or we could do 1 times 2 lots of 10. And because this is now tens, we can put our there. So all we've done there is 1 times by 23. We've put that in. Now, the next one we're going to do is this one. Now, you might think that this is 3 times 3, but we haven't got any 3 times 3s over here. Well, in fact, we've got our 30 times 3. Because if we look, this 3 is in our tens. So what we can do when we're multiplying by our tens here, because our answer needs to come in our tens column, we can put a placeholder 0 in, because we know that 30 times 3 is of course 90. So we can put our placeholder in because we're now multiplying by the 10. So now we can do our 30 times 3 is 90. That's how we get that. Finally, we've got our 30 times by 20, and we can see that here is 600. So that's 600. Our 6 goes in our hundreds column, so it's 690. Now, if you've done that correctly, you will get 1 mark for this question. It is not complete though. We need to do our next step, which is our addition. And this is where we get our second mark. If you get the correct answer, you automatically get 2 marks. But if you make a mistake in your addition, but you got your multiplication correctly, you get a mark. If you made a mistake in your multiplication, but you did the addition part correctly, even with the wrong numbers, you get a mark. So 3 add 0 is 3, 2 add 9 is of course 11, and then we do 6 add 1, which is the 100, 730. Well done. Can we see what we have done here? We've got our 23, which was 23 times 1, and then we got our 690, which was 23 times 30. Yeah, we took this, we multiplied this by this, and we multiplied this by this. Now the process is the same if it's 3 digits. We would then just have another row of numbers to look at. So really important to get familiar with that. If there's anything you're struggling with, just keep going over the same question until it clicks. If it doesn't click, maybe try it with some different numbers. So what I want you to try and do is I want you to pause the video and have a go at this question. If you need to draw out an area model, please do. If you don't need to, then that's fine. Have a go and unpause the video, and I'm about to go through it. So what we're going to do first, we're going to do our 6 multiplied by 41. To do that, we need to do 6 multiplied by 1, which you know is of course 6. Then we're going to do our 6 multiplied by our 40. Remember, that was 24. 6 times 4 is 24. We put our 10s over here, we put the 4 down. 6 times nothing is of course nothing. Then we're going to add our 2, gives us the 200. So remember, next up we are multiplying by a 10. We're going to be doing 20 times by 41. Now well done those of you that have remembered. What you might want to do is 41 times 2 times 10, or we can just take it in the steps as the steps come. So we are 20 times 10, but remember it is 20 times 10. Our first answer needs to come here, so we need to put our placeholder in, and then we do our 20 times 10 is 20. Sorry, 20 times 1, I keep saying 20 times 10, it's 20 times 1. And then we're going to do our 20 times 40, which is 2 times 4 times 10 times 10. Well done if we've got that far. Now we need to do our addition. 6 add nothing is nothing, 4 add 2 is 6, 8 add 2 is of course 10. Hopefully, going through these steps, I'm starting to get a bit more confident. Again, please go through this as many times as you need to. It's really, really, really important. What I want you to do is on this question, have a think. Is this correct? Does this look correct? This is probably going to be the most common mistake that you make. And you'll be doing it really quick, but we can't afford to make this mistake. What has happened here? Let's have a check. Okay, let's look through it. Whoa. Oh, here we go. So we need to do our 6 multiplied by 32. We can check that. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. Add the 1 from the 12 is 192. Well done. That is correct. Okay, next we've got 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, but actually, that's not 4 times 2, is it? It's 40 times 2. We know 40 times 2 is 80. So what this person has done. They have forgotten their placeholder. It should be 40. So really we need to make that 10 times larger, shift that over, and then redo the addition. There we go. Okay, have a go at questions 1 to 4 on the worksheet. Once you've done that, let's have a look. Tommy wants to find the area of the blue part of the rectangle. What does he need to do? Have a think. So what he needs to do is, first thing he needs to do, he needs to find the area of the whole of the blue. And then what we can do is we can take away these sections. We can take them out. Think of it as a piece of paper. We work out what the whole piece of paper is, and then we work out what's been ripped out. So we take this. We can do our 35 times by 16. We can do our 6 times our 5 and our 6 times our 30. And then we can do a 10 times 5 and 10 times 30. So let's have a go. So we can do our 35 times 6. 6 times 5 is 30. And 6 times 3 is 18. Add our 3 is 21. Well done if you got that. Remember. What do we need to remember? Our placeholder. So we're actually doing 35 times 10. So you could just do that off your head, but it's always good to take it slow. Put our placeholder in. We're going to do 10 times 5 is 50. 10 times 30 is 300. And then we're going to add them up. 0, 0 is 0. 1 and 5 is 6. And 2 and 3 is 5. So we know that if these white bits were not there, we would have 560 centimetres squared here. So we can make a little note. Blue is 560 centimetres squared. Now we need to work out how much has been taken away here. So what we can do is we can do our 7 times 12 and then 7 times 12. So we know that 7 times 12 is, of course, 84. We've got 2 of those. We've got this one there and that one there. So we can simply multiply it by 2. 84 times 2 is 168. All we need to do now is 560 take away 168. Well done if you got 392. So have a go at questions 5 and 6. Please go through this video as many times as you need to. It's okay for you to just try out. If you're not 100% and you don't want to try the worksheet, write out some numbers. Calculate it, check it using a calculator. And instead of getting it wrong and trying a new one, try it again and see if you can get the number that matches